Hello, welcome to Nattie's Crafts. I'm Natalie. I always do all the crafting, and today we are going to attempt some Kirkland's dupes, or at least inspired by Kirkland's. I found some very nice fall decor, basically pumpkins is what they are, on their website the other day, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make those out of some Dollar Tree products and then some other maybe random items I have around the house that we probably all have. So that's the plan for today. So go ahead and give the video a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and also subscribe. Always hit the bell when you subscribe so that you know when the next video comes out. So let's go ahead and get crafting. Let's go take a look. Okay, here's the first one. It's this framed wooden pumpkin from Kirkland's. And I'm using this frame I purchased at a church garage sale. I think it was probably 25 cents in a fill-a-bag sale. And I'm going to use that round piece of cardboard as the pumpkin. So first we're just going to get the frame ready. The frame itself is fine. I'm not going to actually do anything to it, but I'm just going to get rid of the word family on there. And we're just going to paint it white. Now my chalk paint, I guess because it's old, I think it's from last year. I don't know if it's from before that or not, but it's really thick and actually kind of gross. So I was trying to add water and do all kinds of things. I did end up getting it painted white, and it does end up looking good, so that's a nice thing. I will tell you though, I did end up using a piece of cardboard, white cardboard, in front of the frame because I was afraid I wasn't going to like it. So I will put that out there, that I did cover the paint up anyway. So now we're going to just get that circle ready. This was a circle that I got when I purchased some pans, and I don't know, I got 3 or 4 different circles. This is still from that pile. So I'm going to cut off the top to make it flatter, and then I'm going to create little pumpkin pieces. Basically, wherever you would see the dents in a pumpkin, that's where I'm going to put some pencil lines, and that's where we're going to cut the pumpkin apart. And literally just freehanding. And then I do need a stem, so I'm just going to take part of what I cut off from the top. I'm going to take part of that and use that as the stem. And then we're going to make an orange color. Now, if you already have orange that you like, then that's great. I don't. I have this very bright orange acrylic paint. And when I say very bright, I mean like, you know, neon bright, very bright. So we're going to change that a little bit. We're going to put that along with a few drops of brown together and make a more pretty brown that is acceptable for me. So that's all I'm doing here. And you know, whenever you mix paint, you never make enough. Well, that's always the case for me. So I tried to make too much and I still didn't make too much. So I'm just going to paint the cardboard with, I think I ended up with 2, maybe 3 coats of paint. And I do want to get the edges as well, not just the outside, but the edges as well. And then for the stem, I'm going to do the same thing. It's just going to be brown, and we're just going to paint it. I think I only needed 1 coat for the stem, but I am going to get the edges as well. And then we're going to go ahead and cut the pumpkin apart. So those pencil lines that I created, that's what I'm cutting here. And I used this knife. It was a dull knife. It did not work. It kind of ruined my pumpkin a little bit. I was kind of mad about it. But if I would have just used scissors, it would have been fine. Or if my knife would have been sharp, again, it would have been fine. But it wasn't. So I do end up going to my scissors. And even my dull scissors were better than that dull knife. So, you know, keep in mind, you got to use a sharp knife if you want this to work properly. And then once I've got them all cut, I'm just kind of sizing it up to make sure it looks halfway normal. I did have to make a little bit of trim here and there. I mean, cut it, trim it a little bit here and there. And then I'm going to use these foam glue pieces from Dollar Tree to stick the pumpkin onto the sign. And I'm leaving just a small gap between each piece. You could, of course, make it bigger or smaller using bigger gaps, smaller gaps. You know, make it yours. This is what I liked, so this is how I went with it. And then I'm going to put the stem there on top. Now the stem was the only piece of foam that I had to actually cut down. The rest fit just fine. And oh my gosh, can I tell you that this is my favorite piece of art that I've made in quite a while. Probably cost me 50 cents to make. I love it. Here's the next one. We're going to make some stacked pumpkins. Okay, so I tried to use these small balls from Dollar Tree. These are the small styrofoam balls from Dollar Tree. And I knew it needed to be bigger because my medium-sized pumpkin, it wouldn't have looked right if I kept it that small. So I was going to wrap it in a bag, crinkle it up a bit, make it kind of puffy. You know, was my plan. That didn't work. So then I wrapped it in paper and then put the bag around it so that it would stay uniform and the same, and I could mush it into whatever shape I needed, which did actually help. That actually worked. Then I have this styrofoam ball from Dollar Tree, from, you know, the toy section, and I just cut off the edges so that it was flat on the top and flat on the bottom, because this is going to be my medium size or my middle pumpkin. So it just needs to be flat on the top and the bottom. So just cutting it off here with a, what do you call it, craft knife? I don't know. And then this last pumpkin is the largest pumpkin. It's actually from Dollar Tree. It was a leftover from some crafts I did before. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover all three of these quote-unquote pumpkins. We're going to cover them in this fabric. Now, I would recommend not using a fabric that has a pattern like this because it will never line up because they're round. I didn't think of this before, but this was the only material I had on hand that I could find, so this is what I used. And if you're going to use a pattern like this, you have to be okay with the fact that it's not going to look perfect. That hurt me a lot, but I had to get over it and be okay with it not being perfect. So I'm going to wrap all three pumpkins. That was the large one. This is going to be the smallest one. And I'm just going to wrap all three pumpkins in this fabric. This is actually a scarf from the Dollar Tree. And it's a cute scarf, but I knew I was going to use it for crafting, so I had it on hand. And when you're making this, you can kind of fold and overlap and do whatever to make the shape into a pumpkin shape. Once I've got them all into somewhat pumpkin shapes, then I'm going to add this black, this is like a rope, I think it's like a climbing tether or something, I don't know, again from Dollar Tree. And I use black because obviously my color scheme, but you would use twine for this step if you had a normal pattern or normal color on your pumpkins. So I'm just gluing the twine on. I'm just doing two pieces, one around one side, one around the other. Just gluing them on. And then we're done wrapping all of them. We're done with the rope. So I'm going to add this corded twine, or what do you call it? That's not what you call it, but whatever this is. It is twine that has a wire in the middle of it. So you can shape it. So that's going to be our stem for the pumpkin. So that we're going to wrap on the smallest pumpkin. And then we're going to stack the pumpkins on top of each other. Now, this is where your pattern, if you have a pattern, this is where that comes into play and makes it very difficult. And because my pumpkins, the pattern was completely lost on my pumpkins, I just had to do what I could to make it look the best I could. So I'm literally just going to slap on a whole glob of hot glue. And then we're going to stack the next pumpkin on top. I did try to line up the strings or the lines as much as possible, the black twine basically. And then same thing for the top one, globs and globs of glue. And then just kind of smush it there on top. And I did kind of press down kind of hard to try to get them to really settle in there. And that's how it looks. So mine cost $3. The one from Kirkland's was $27.99. This is my whole little fall scape on my mantle. Again, I absolutely love that framed pumpkin. I don't know why I love it so much, but I absolutely love it. And the stacked pumpkins, if I wouldn't have used a pattern, I think I would have liked it better. And then some of the crafts or the autumn sign that I did last time or a couple times ago. Thanks so much for stopping by Natty's Crafts. I sure do appreciate it. I would love it if you would leave a comment down below and give the video a big thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell when you subscribe. And of course, always appreciate today, as tomorrow is never promised.